Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode in the Natter with Nick series. I'm delighted this afternoon to be joined by Scott Riley, who is the founder of Nexus Cloud. He's been in his new business for almost 2 years. Previous to that, he was a partner at Cooper Parry in the IT department there. That was for just over a year, and previous to that had a big job at GCI as a Chief Strategy Officer. Welcome to Natter with Nick. Scott, how are you doing?
I'm good, Nick, and thanks for inviting me on to Natter with Nick. I love this. But yeah, no, nice potted history of the bits and places where I've been recently. So no, it's really good to see you today.
Excellent, and thank you very much. So, just looking through your last sort of employment, and then presumably starting up for yourself as the founder. Tell me a little bit about your business and why you set it up.
Yeah, no, sure. So I say we because it's we now, but I set up Cloud Nexus because I wanted to have a really sort of true dedicated consultancy, boutique consultancy, if you like, that really just specialized in Office 365 and Azure, because I just think there's so much power that has for small and mid-sized businesses and even bigger businesses, but there's so much that you can do in there that it really needs this niche focus. And I've been at some of the bigger organizations and some of the bigger partners where it kind of, they all think we need to do Office 365, but they haven't got that focus and special attention. It's just something in the portfolio. And I just thought there's definitely space there for us to be able to, build a great consultancy where we're really good at things. And I like to say we're a bit of a one-trick pony, but it's a really good trick. So that's what we do. So we just specialize in those two things. We don't pretend to be good at everything else. This is what we do. And in doing that, it means that we get to work with, both customers ourselves directly, but also we get to work with other great IT partners and help them, along with some of their projects for 365 as well. So it's been a really fun 2 years, really, really fun. I have learned a huge amount. It's totally different running your own business versus actually being employed in one. And even like I've been in charge of, hundreds of people in a big department and responsible for millions of pounds worth of turnover and budget. It's totally different when it's your own business. It's completely different. So I've learned a lot in these last 2 years.
Absolutely, and tell you where our company is a proud partner of Cloud Nexus and done some fantastic work with us. So thank you very much for that, and recommend to anybody else your business into them. So I know your one trip, as you talk about it, is really moving people into the cloud securely. So just talk us through a little bit of the type of projects you do in that area and what you found out.
Yeah, that we've done. I mean, we're all very much aware of the lovely coronavirus that's been hitting us for the last year now. Brilliant. But what we've spent that last year doing is helping people move quickly off premise. So Exchange on premise, servers on premise, file servers, all that kind of traditional technology stuff, and moving them into Office 365 really quickly. And I say quickly, I do of course mean we're doing it properly, but we're just, because we do the same types of projects over and over again. Get your email out of your on-premise servers and get it into the cloud. Get your files off those file servers and get it into the cloud. Because we do the same things over and over again, we're really, really good at it. And so we're able to do these projects really quickly. And I do like to think that actually, although none of us would have wished for coronavirus at all, the way it's helped businesses think about IT projects has really changed. Things that used to be, well, that's a 12-month project, that's a 2-year project, well, we'll never get that done, has just been, no, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks. These things are really happening thick and fast. And I think the whole attitude has changed alongside just this need. Everyone needs to work from home, in these businesses. They've got to carry on, and we've got to find a great way to do that. So that's what we've been doing, pretty much throughout the pandemic and a little bit before that when we started. But, what a time to start a business. What a time to get, get your own feet under your own table and start delivering services. And actually, it's been exactly the right space. People have needed to get to the cloud quickly and needed this mobility and security that you can get from 365.
Yeah, let's dig into the security aspect, because you hear all the stats about cyber attacks, phishing attacks, the whole thing. People having to work from home. People have had to be more secure, moving from on-premise into the cloud. How are you addressing those type of things, and how are you patching the businesses up to make sure they are secure?
No, that is a really good point, because there's a bit of a conceit, I would say, in the on-premise mindset, in that because it was in our little room downstairs in the cupboard or whatever, it was safer. It's safer than it is when you get into the cloud. And when you start unpicking some of those threads, you go, well, actually, you were taking quite a few risks here.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we don't carry those risks forward, and let's tidy it up over here in the cloud. Don't get me wrong, some clients that we've worked with have been absolutely bulletproof on premise, and so it's been a matter of respecting that and moving it into the cloud.
Yeah.
But if I look at just 365 by itself, there's somewhere, depending on which license you have, between 50 and 60 different security controls that are available. They're all there, they're ready for you to use, but they are not turned on by default. And what we're finding is people who've started the kind of journey themselves have got your usernames and passwords over, got the emails over into 365, but they're not aware of all these different things. And don't get me wrong, Microsoft don't make it easy, because they keep moving all the buttons between all the different bloody portals. So it's
Good
it
for
can be
you
a
though.
challenge to keep up. Even for us, we'll go in one day and go, I swear it was there yesterday, and it's moved somewhere else. Which is why, because we niche, it's helpful that we do the same things over and over again. But to your point, the key things that you need to take care of, you've got to protect your users in general. So you want strong passwords, and you want multi-factor authentication. It used to be that everybody thought multi-factor authentication is just for the real admins, just for the people who have access to the core data systems. Well, actually, your email systems and your file systems all contain really sensitive company information. So just being able to get into one of those is a big risk. And we all see the fines that happen and the data breaches. And it's not just, I think we've said before, Nick, I think it's about £25,000 is the average cost of that data breach. It's not just that. If you're an accountancy firm or a legal firm, your reputational damage, if you've had a data breach and some of that information's leaked, who wants to work with you? That's the real risk, I think, that people are taking. So multi-factor authentication, really, really simple system. You log in with your password, you'll get a prompt on your phone. Now, you don't get that every time. You get that if you're logging in from a new computer, or you're logging in from a strange location. Hi, Nick, it looks like you just logged in from Harrogate, but 5 minutes later you logged in from Moscow. We think something odd's going on. Can I just ping your phone and make sure it's you? That can be rolled out for everybody. It's included in the license cost. It just needs to be turned on. And that will cut out almost 80% of the attacks that a small business could expect to have.
Wow.
80% are down to rubbish passwords.
Yeah.
And I think the other side of that is dodgy emails. We need to protect people from dodgy emails. So we hear the term phishing attacks. It's probably a bit of a technical term that maybe not everyone's familiar with, but essentially it's people sending you an email that looks like it's from, the latest ones are, from the government about COVID, or it's from the government about Sybil's loans, or from HMRC about your VAT return. They all look really legitimate. And that, until you click on the link, and then it's suddenly asking you for, sensitive information. And again, those are the second biggest reasons why small businesses get their data breached, why hackers get in. And there are two, again, really simple protections that you can turn on, tick box things that we can turn on inside 365 that will stop people being able to click on those links. They might still get the email, it might still pop up in their Outlook, but if they read it and they think, oh no, I'm going to click on this, they'll click it and it'll just take them to a safety page that says, hey, actually, we'd already checked this and it was a bad place for you to go. You can't get to that website. Just turning on those two things cuts out all of those risks for small businesses.
Yeah. Make it sound very simple, but it's more complex than that. But
well, I wouldn't have a job if we made it that simple. But no, genuinely, this is it. There's 50 or 60 controls. Knowing which buttons to press absolutely is a bit of a skill and a fine art. But once they're turned on, you are so much safer as an organization in 365 than you were with your on-premise systems. And I think a lot of times you ask, what are the common risks that people take is they kind of lift up what they've got and drop it into the cloud and assume that it's safer in some way. And they assume that it's backed up is the other big thing. And neither of those things are true. It can be safer if you press all the right buttons, and it can be backed up if you turn on a backup service. But out of the box, neither of those things are true. And that's just important, I think, for people to understand.
Yeah, very interesting. So you've gone into the IT director, you've had a bit of a workshop there, and he's going, frighten me to death, get on with it, Scott, I really need this. Then you've got to get past the guy in the corner, the finance director, Bob Scratchit. He's sat there saying, oh, I don't know about these costs. So how does it stack up in cost, like moving to Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 compared to the on-premise?
Yeah, that is something that we come across all the time, and what we've found is, especially with the on-premise type of guys, they've layered on lots of other third-party products to get some of the things that they want to happen in the right way. And don't get me wrong, when I was a techie a while ago, we used to take something like a Windows laptop or desktop, and it would have a built-in firewall, and we'd just go, a Windows firewall? I don't think so. Let me put a proper one on. So you'll get Sophos or something else, and you'll layer that on top. And you'll need a VPN so people can get access to their files when they're not in the office. You go, Windows VPN? I don't think so. Let me get a proper one. But we did the same thing for disk encryption. We did the same thing for updates and patching and antivirus and anti-malware. And you layered on all these other third-party products. Mail filtering from people like Mimecast. We added all those things on, and those things are all still there. They're all still truck rolling. But what's changed is Microsoft have completely overhauled how they handle security. And I'm not just trying to do a sales pitch on Microsoft, but they throw in like $1 billion a year into the research and development of security. $1 billion. Now that's bigger than most antivirus firms, right? They put that into just the R&D on security. That's how seriously they take it. And that means that they're now kind of, when you look at those Gartner charts that you get, they're in the top right-hand corner, the very best of the best in a lot of these areas. And the IT teams, God bless them, they're so busy dealing with day-to-day stuff that it's not always possible for them to keep up with, well, what are the changes? What's new in 365? What's new in Windows 10? They don't get to see and test and play with all that stuff, which is why it's helpful to come to someone who sees and plays with that stuff all the time, so we can guide them. And what you can find is you can turn off antivirus, you can turn off third-party firewalls, you can turn off third-party encryption, you can turn off third-party multi-factor authentication systems, because all of those things are built into 365 now, and it's bloody good. That's the thing. It used to be that we would go, yeah, they make it, but it's not great, I wouldn't recommend it. Whereas now you look at all the Gartner charts and the tests and the independent analysis and go, actually, it's really good stuff. And for all these things that you turn off, you could be saving, £5, £6, £7 or £8 for every single user in the organization. That's starting to offset your costs to move to 365. But more importantly for me, if I'm the IT manager of a small business, maybe 200, 300 people, and every time someone joins, I've got to go and set them up on the laptop and then set them up in the antivirus and the email filtering and this, that, and all the other security products so that they can get to work and get access to their system. Well, A, it's slower for everyone involved because of all these different tools. B, none of those tools talk to each other. So if there is a breach or there is an issue, none of this stuff talks to the other stuff, which makes it really difficult to find when things have happened. And see, for every time you've got a starter or a lever, the IT guy's got like 10 different products that he's going through to get everyone set up and then removed again. If we did this all in 365 world, it's one pane of glass. Admittedly, the buttons move around a lot. I did make that point. They do move them. They like to do that, but it's one central point of control, and it's one username and password. So from a user experience, they just log in once. They've got the VPN, the multi-factor, they've got the email encryption, web protection, they've got everything all kind of built in. The IT manager's just got one place to control it.
So what you're saying to me is people moving from on-premise into the cloud, the cost is potentially a cost saving because they've got all this other software that they don't need anymore, so they can cancel the contracts. They've got one place to go with it, making the most secure because it's $1 billion, and the usability, if that's the right word, would be better as well. I mean, I've spent my time in the past going down on trains to London, having to log into VPNs, a horrible exercise,
Yeah.
horrible experience. All that's gone then.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And real numbers when we've looked across our projects. So if we look at a typical sort of 100 user business, by the time you take into account Office 365, the basic Office, and then all those things, mail filtering, web filtering, antivirus, all those different things, it's coming out at about £26 for every single user each month.
Yeah.
When we cut that across to the Microsoft 365 license that has all those features built in, it's £15. And those are retail numbers, don't get me wrong, but it means it's £11 for every single user cheaper.
Yeah.
So you take that across the 100 users, great, okay, we're saving quite a lot there already. And now there's less things to manage and less things to go wrong. And you absolutely nailed it. When you're on the train, your documents are already synchronizing with your laptop and with your mobile phone. Your emails are synchronizing. You don't have to kind of get on the Wi-Fi and then quick get on the VPN before the Wi-Fi drops out before I get to the next tunnel. You don't have any of that now because it's just constantly online and in sync, which is really nice. It's much, much, much easier experience for everyone.
Yeah. And I know working together on these things, I'll move on to the next subject, is whose project in a business is it? Because it's always chucked at the IT director, IT manager, get on and do this. And we have this acronym of IDEA, which is insight. What do you want me to do with it? D, design it. Yeah. So IT do a great job in there, get it on, design it. What they don't do is the E and the A, which is energize the employees and assist them all the way. So they're not getting the most. Microsoft are making a big play of this, aren't they, about optimization. You're paying a lot of money for a license. All right, we've saved your company a lot of money. We bought this quite expensive license per user per month, but it's not getting used to its ability. So that's another area that I know that is worked on hard. Not quite in your area, but it's important that when you're in there, you'll be talking about that. So I think my main question is, are you finding that these projects always get pushed to the IT department?
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're seen as an IT change project. And like the savvier businesses will see it also as a people change project. And that's where it really needs to be. And I think what's happening is smaller businesses will tend to miss out that part.
Yeah.
The attitude tends to be, well, our people will catch up, or we'll figure it out. It'll be okay. We'll do a couple of workshops inside the organization. We'll let people know the IT is changing on Monday. That really doesn't work out very well, because come Monday, there's an awful lot of confused people trying to figure out how the new IT system works. And what you've got to do is you've got to bring people along the journey. This is a people change as much as it is a technology change. When you're taking their emails and putting them somewhere else, when you're taking their files and saying, right, you don't VPN in now, it's much easier. You don't need to VPN. It's dead easy. But you haven't actually shown them what to do and how to do it. It isn't easy. It's easy for us because we see technology every day. Great. It's easy for the IT team. But for the people in finance and legal and marketing, it's not easy. I don't know where my files are. I don't know how to do this. We've got to have these change programs in. And, for the small businesses, this might sound like a big, scary overhead, and it really isn't. It really isn't. We've just got to get some training in with these guys to show them how to work with the system now. Because I tell you, the biggest reason why to do that, not just productivity, because I think there's a massive, big gap in productivity that happens when you cut over someone to 365 and you've not done any training with the rest of the business. You've only talked to some of the managers and the IT team, and you've not engaged like the ground level people to need to get their work done. There's a big gulf in productivity that happens for the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the changeover, which is massively detrimental to the business. And also it means that then people don't like the new system. They don't trust the new system. But worst of all, what they do is they then try and find ways around the system so that they can still get their job done. I don't know how to share files externally anymore since you changed the IT system. So I've been uploading them to Dropbox because I need to get this to my client. You've been doing what? We've just spent all this money on a system that's got OneDrive and SharePoint and external sharing. Well, I don't know. I needed to get it to them today, so I've just used Dropbox. Okay, that's horrifying. We've just set up a perfect system that can do all that stuff, but we haven't taught them anything. We haven't trained them how to use it properly. And it has to be not just kind of a one-off bit of a training exercise, but a continual development. Now, don't be wrong, I understand people in the finance team have got invoices to process and purchase orders to get on with. Everyone's got stuff to do that isn't learning new IT systems. But genuinely, just having these little, even like the drop-in online training modules where they can just pick up a few different skills, a bit at a time each week, will continually help them get better at what they do and how they use the systems. But it's really important to get that right, because otherwise, I say, they'll find ways to get their job done, whether it's using 365 or using some other way to get those files copied around. And then we're into the situation where we're losing control of business data now because we don't know where it is. And that's the scary bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. And I assume when you go in to speak to a customer, you're going to come away with an order, because why wouldn't they do it? You've got an IT person that needs to be secure. You've got a business that needs to be secure. You've got a finance director that's going to save some money. It's just, and if you don't do it, you're going to become unproductive or less productive than you were previously. So there is no downsides to it, as far as I can see, unless, I don't know whether you want to summarize anything back just to finish this off, or you just agree with what I'm saying.
No, I mean, there's no downsides, but what I would say is it is a change. It's a business level change. It's not just an IT change, and I think that's the key
priorities then at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, and people can underestimate that, and then what you can find is there's just pain after the change has happened. And this is true of any IT project, though. If you get people engaged correctly and you give them the tools they need to succeed and communicate with them really well, this all sounds like really basic stuff, but it's basic stuff that actually gets skipped time after time. And so sometimes we'll just get brought in to tactically do the data shifting. We're like, cool, yeah, we're doing the data shifting, and then you'll see the frustration that's happened afterwards. You go, oh, guys, you needed to plan and engage and let people know and show them, and give them, even do a pilot phase, get some champions. In larger organizations, we talk about things like digital disruptors and champions for Teams and OneDrive, so that they're the people in each department that really, really know this stuff. We've invested a lot of time, because maybe we can't train everybody, but we can train some champions. And so as people get stuck, they can shout across. Well, old office, I suppose, when we're in the office days, they can shout across. They can catch someone on Teams these days. Hey, how do I share files again? Building those champions and pockets of capability is really important to then help this be a successful project.
Yeah. So it's just about planning and then do it. I mean, my last words are to the audience: if you haven't got this in place, what are you waiting for? Because it's just so important to do. Just get on and do it, and engage with Scott. You'll see his details on this broadcast. So please be there. And thank you so much, Scott, for taking the time this afternoon.
No, absolutely. It's been great. Thanks for letting me natter with Nick. I love this. Thanks very much.
Thank you.